Greetings, Taco Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another Legend of Korra episode review right here on Otaku Assemble Weekly. And as always, I'm here to bring you the latest in this week's Legend of Korra episode reviews. And this is my review of Season 2, Episodes 3 and Episodes 4, entitled Civil War Parts 1 and 2. Now, general thoughts on both the episodes. I will say that overall, I find a civil war between the northern and southern water tribes to be a much more interesting subplot than the pro-bending subplot of Season 1. Because I have noticed that both seasons have introduced their subplots early on, like at the very beginning of the season, and so I think that this is a much more interesting subplot than Season 1 subplot. That being said, though, there are a lot of issues with said subplot. There are a lot of issues with this season out the gate, and this will pretty much make up the bulk of this review. Yeah, because I just feel like we're treading familiar waters. We're sailing familiar waters. We're treading familiar territory. This is what I mean. I find it alarming that 4 episodes into Season 2, we are already dealing with some of the same issues that Season 1 had. This is what I mean. Lack of character development, especially with the main cast. Korra behaves in the same manner that she did in Season 1, having learned what it seems to be absolutely nothing from Season 1. Out the bat, she was so gung-ho about Unalaq, so willing to trust him. Then, so willing to trust him and to turn her back on her father and Tenzin, just like she did in Season 1, when she was so gung-ho about trusting Tarlok and betraying Tenzin in Season 1. Turning the back to him, ignoring his advice. And then it came back to bite her in the ass, just like it did in Season 2. Also, this feud between two brothers of the Water Tribe was the same shit we got with Tarlok and Amon in Season 1. Now we're seeing it in Season 2. It's the same thing. Also, this undercutting a brother to claim power is the exact same fucking thing we had in Avatar: The Last Airbender between fucking Ozai and Iroh. Oh, and then I'm talking about even going to the point where they politically outmaneuver their brother to undercut them and assume power. That's the exact same thing fucking Ozai did to Iroh in Avatar: The Last Airbender. We are treading familiar territory. We are sailing familiar waters. And, oh man. Yes. Oh, and also, I have absolutely no fucking idea how this subplot is supposed to tie back into the whole thing with the spirits, because we know that Unalaq was, talking all that jazz about how, if we are at war, then the spirits will be the spirits will be angry with us and this, that, and the other. And I don't know how the fuck that's supposed to work. Because, let me put it to you like this. In the original series, the fucking world was at war. The entire world, all 4 nations were at war for over 100 years. And the fucking spirits seem to be doing just fine. So how the fuck now all of a sudden, the spirits are angry with us if we're at war and this, that, and the other? It does not make sense within the context of the fucking universe that's already been developed. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't make fucking sense. So, yeah, and then also, what the fuck is Unalaq's motivation? Why is he waiting until now to try to take over the Southern Water Tribe? You see what I'm saying? If he intentionally set it up to have his brother banished from the fucking north, why the fuck would he care about him in the Southern Water Tribe? You see what I don't understand. Why would he not try and consolidate power in both water tribes when he was a younger man? Why wait until now? It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It doesn't make any fucking sense. As far as like what his long-term goal is. And then if his long-term goal really is just to fucking unify both tribes under him, well, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but that's a pretty weak-ass character. No, correction, not character motivation, villain motivation. That's a weak-ass villain motivation. Who up to this point, that's who Unalaq has been set up to be. So, once again, some of the same fucking problems as the first fucking season. Alright, now let's talk about a couple of positives. I will say, Bolin's little scenario with Korra's cousin, the crazy girlfriend thing, I'm not gonna lie, I actually do find that funny. I do. This works with Bolin. Bolin by himself as a comic co-relief was not fucking doing it for me. But if you match him up with a fucking crazy girlfriend, that's possessive and for the most part kind of keeps Bolin in check, I'm fine with that. I don't know. I just find it fucking funny. The ending of episode 4, I thought was fucking hilarious. I thought that shit was hilarious. So I can actually go ahead and applaud Bolin. I can applaud him now because this gimmick with him, this little routine with him and what's her name? Deska, I believe is her name. This is working for me. That's working for me. Let's see. Varric. Surprisingly, I'm liking his character much more than I had anticipated. Like, I was looking forward to him being the new comic relief of the series, but his role in the subplot, like he's not just an arbitrary fucking comic relief that's only there for that purpose. No, he is actually serving a role in the plot, and that makes it that much better. I like that. Cool beans. Let's keep that going. And I think the final thing I'll comment on is the little subplot with Tenzin and his family. And it seems, in episode 3, I wasn't sure what to make of it because I felt like it was just completely like the whole vacation bit was just set up to get us to see Tenzin and his family alone. You know what I'm saying? To see that sibling dynamic. And for the most part, like in episode 3, it just came across as childish bickering amongst adults, which I didn't care for. And it wasn't until this episode when he found Ikki and we saw why it was she ran off and what it was she was doing. Now it kind of made sense. Because Ikki and Tenzin are kind of the black sheep of their little trio, of their sibling trios. And so it was about Tenzin relating to his daughter, finding a common ground, a similarity between the two of them, something that he could relate to. And now it kind of made sense to Tenzin why Ikki would run away the way she did, because it's the exact same fucking thing that he did. He wanted to go off and have a vacation with just him and his kids, and he didn't want to include the siblings. That's the same thing Ikki did, running off, finding the baby air bison, not wanting to include her siblings. So, and then after that, after finding her and then going back, there was sort of this this catharsis that took place between the siblings. How Ikki was able to, like, they apologize, her siblings apologize. She's like, fuck it, let's go play airball. And then, Tenzin, he's like, hey, sorry how I reacted, type of thing. And then Kaya shows him the family photo. That catharsis. So I like how they tied that up. I like how they wrapped that whole thing up very nicely. Now I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. As it stands, it's a nice little side story, but it is still side story. I don't really see how that would fit into the main plot. You see what I'm saying? And what I would hope, and I realize this series has me hoping a lot more and getting fucked over in the end than actually seeing shit that I want to see. But I would hope that this would some way, somehow foreshadow or some way, somehow pay off later on down the line when we get into a conflict where Tenzin and his siblings have to reinsert themselves into the main conflict, and we see that the bonding that occurred on that trip reinforces itself in their cooperation and their cohesiveness as a unit once they reinsert themselves back into the conflict. That would like cap the whole thing where it's like, okay, yes, that vacation wasn't useless. It wasn't just side story that could have just as easily been written off as filler. No, it had a purpose. It had a point to developing the characters and strengthening their position to be reinforced later on in the story. Alright, so I just tired myself out with that spiel. How about y'all? Y'all tired just hearing me go off like that? Yeah, I know, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But that's what y'all tune in for, right? So pretty much my final thoughts on the last 2 episodes, like I said, from a conceptual level, just for the sake of the story, this Civil War subplot is very interesting. And it is something we haven't seen before, because we've never seen the 2 water tribes at war with each other. We haven't seen that. So yes, this is much more interesting. However, it is ripe with cliches. It is ripe with archetypal narrative, in all honesty, because a lot of the shit, like Unalaq having the judge in his pocket, I mean, I called all that shit while it was going. Korra's father not being part of the initial kidnapping of Unalaq. I mean, I called all that shit as it was coming. So yeah, it is pretty archetypal in that sense. But well, yeah. I'm not gonna try to add. I'm not gonna try to drag this out and add on to that. All in all, it's an interesting subplot, but it does have a lot of problems that I would hope would get resolved soon. But I highly doubt that. And I got a feeling I'm going to be. I got a feeling I'm gonna be complaining about some of these same issues all season long, just like I was last season. So, anywho, but that's going to wrap up this week's review. I want to thank you all for joining me again this weekend. In the comments below, leave your thoughts on episodes 3 and 4, and let me know some of your thoughts as to where the season might go from here on out. Some of those other things. How do you think Tenzin and his siblings will fit back into the main plot? How do you think this is going to turn back in, how do you think this is going to direct us back into the conflict with the spirits, and so on and so forth? And that's because that's all we pretty much have to talk about. Otherwise, we just be fussing over the same shit that we've been fussing over since season 1. Anywho, that's going to wrap it up here. This has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, signing off. And until next time, peace.